Hello, good evening, and welcome back once again to another episode of Minds on Guard, where we are taking a look at the concept of media in the 21st century, all of the ways that we interact with it, all of the ways that it interacts with us, its various manifestations, many nested topics that are connected to the existence and manifestations of the media that exists in the 21st century and what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. We've been on a bit of a journey through a lot of different topics that do tie into the broader concept of being able to guard our minds against the manipulations that are out there within the broader mainstream media sources and things like that. Recently, we have been examining at a fairly surface level the idea of postmodernism. And I'm not going to spend too much more time on the intro. We'll just pick up right where we left off on the last video. But prior to taking a little closer look at postmodernism, I do wish to reiterate and state again that this philosophy is one that has become pervasive throughout all levels and all areas of our society today. It is a major contributor to some of the most harmful problems that are happening in today's world. And I think that this is because that it allows for an incredible amount of damage to be done to the ways in which we are able to understand or discern and then maintain our grasp and hold on objective truths, meaning, and value within our daily lives. It's my belief that anyone who suffers from the delusion that arises through postmodern frameworks will be in great danger of losing touch with any solid grasp that they may have had on reality. Much of this will appear in a person when any belief or ideology that is born out of postmodernism is put to any rigorous questioning or testing for truth and validity. The grounding and grasp that they had, or rather didn't have, is put on full display. Often when I have conversations with people about deeper subjects like spirituality or things of that nature, I'll hear them say things like, well, we really can't truly know anything about the way things work. And this is a really troubling thing to me. And so, okay, I'll grant that, but okay, how does that play out across a person's daily life? That type of thinking, it's a really important question to ask. So if a person is operating this way, that we can't know anything, how does that really work? How does it, do they live in these ways? Do they actually carry that type of thinking with them in their day-to-day life? And this is a really good test to see how postmodernism really just falls right to pieces. What should be noted here is that this idea falls right in line with the postmodern worldview in the sense that there is no such thing as meaning, and therefore words do not matter. They have no real consequence. Left, right, up, down, wherever. You can just use them however you see fit to suit your emotional needs, whatever narrative you like to spin in any given moment. But for now, we'll humor the statement that we can't truly know anything for the sake of investigation of the philosophy. But I want to take special note that the statement "we can't truly know anything" is itself contradictory in that it is stating a fact. It's saying that we can't know something, and therefore we should be able to know that we can't know anything. It's a circular reasoning that just falls right to bits. But the key thing to examine in this statement is the word anything, and that's what I want to take a quick look at right now. So what we need to do is first sort of deal with the terms that we're interacting with. So what does the word anything actually mean? We can use definitions. Merriam-Webster defines it as being anything whatsoever, or any such thing. So based on that definition, the concept of anything literally encompasses all that there is. Well, that's a pretty broad spectrum of stuff to draw from for an inquiry as to whether or not we can truly know something. But the claim is made quite often, like I hear it all the time when talking with people. And so we should look at it and see what we can find. So how do we know things? Well, there's a great deal to undertake in that question. But the basic answer, the one that I think, has two parts. One, we use our perceptive capabilities to test and determine truth value as dictated by the objective state of reality as it is. And two, we do this within the context of whatever we happen to be attempting to know. For example, we use something simple. We can look outside and notice that the sun is shining. If we were to walk into the sunlight, we would feel the heat from the radiation of the star. Now, given the size of the sun and its relative distance from Earth, we can know that it's a very hot celestial body. We are able to determine this without any prerequisite knowledge or expertise within fields of like chemistry or astrophysics or thermodynamics or meteorology, cosmology, or any other higher level field of study. We as humans are able to observe and determine what is real and true based on simple information and the context in which that information is observed. We can use our perceptive capabilities in these ways, and they really tell us a lot about what we're dealing with. And then from that collected information, we can then determine various truth values. And as such, we have a way in which we're able to know anything, just through those observations and determining real validity and truth value. I'll grant that this example seems simplistic, and it is, yet I also believe that it does hold some extremely profound truths about reality and just how we're able to interact within it and with it in the process of learning and growing and just being able to truly understand ourselves in relation to the world around us. I do hope to get into some of that deeper material at a later date, but for now, it's important to see that the statement, "we can't truly know anything," is simply a falsehood. And it's more likely that any person that's making such a claim is either too ignorant, likely fearful, and we should have compassion on them for that. I know that I have walked around and lived in ways that are truly both ignorant and fearful. And in the third stance that I see, it's possibly lazy or too lazy to do the work that's necessary to investigate the deeper truths that exist within reality. Now, I also certainly grant and know that there are things about reality about which we have not been able to determine any solid truth values. These areas are vastly complex, and many great thinkers have been delving to the extreme limits of human cognition and comprehension in order to find the areas where we are without definitive knowledge for generation upon generation, thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And this task is a more than worthy one in and of itself. Proverbs 25:2 says that It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings to search out a matter. I take this scripture to mean that we have a responsibility inherent in our being as humans, as God's creation, to investigate and search for the truth that God has designed and encoded into reality for us to discover. Point of confession about my own life, I have spent many, many years not truly fulfilling my part in this responsibility, not owning my responsibility to live in these ways. But I am working to step onto the path of searching out the truths that God has given us. Now, the point of all of this is to really point towards and show that postmodernism is really a destructive force that is set against our better nature, our true encoded nature. Its pervasiveness within media, within schools and churches and all other areas of society has directly contributed to the degradation of human thought and has little to no intellectual value save the purely theoretical within educational environments like higher learning education or very, very focused study, and really only to serve as a cautionary investigation of how not to think about the world. That's really where I see the most useful application of the idea of postmodernism. Words have meaning. Things in reality have value. There are objective truths, and we have the capacity to search out and know what is real and what is false. My hope is that through exposing postmodern thinking, postmodernism, and calling it what it is, that we can begin to discard it and see it as useless and dangerous as a philosophy, and begin to shift back to more sound ways of understanding the world that we live in. So as we move forward, I am going to make efforts to point out postmodernism, postmodern thinking, areas in which it infiltrates and is seeded in nested ways throughout media sources. When we dive back into some more news articles, I'll make sure to point this kind of thing out. But that's going to wrap up this video for this week. I hope you take some time to contemplate what I've presented here, that postmodernism really is not a useful or really beneficial way to think about your life and live day to day. We don't live as if there is no meaning. We don't live as if there is no truth. We don't live as if we can't know anything. It just doesn't work that way. So until the next video, I hope that you all stay safe. I hope that you look after one another. I hope that you all stay diligent and vigilant with your minds on guard.